The Mourning of Muharram, Remembrance of Muharram, or Muharram Observances, is a set of rituals associated with both Shia and Sunni, which takes place in Muharram, the first month of the Islamic calendar. Many of the events associated with the ritual take place in congregation halls known as Hussainia. The event marks the anniversary of the Battle of Karbala, when Imam Hussein ibn Ali, the grandson of Muhammad, was killed by the forces of the second Umayyad caliph Yazid I at Karbala. Family members, accompanying Hussein ibn Ali, were killed or subjected to humiliation. The commemoration of the event during yearly mourning season, from 1st of Muharram to 20th of Safar, with Ashura comprising the focal date, serves to define Shia communal identity. At present, Muharram observances are carried out in countries with a sizable Shia population. Etymology: the words Yazid, which mean mourning and lamentation, and Majalisi have been exclusively used in connection with the remembrance ceremonies for the martyrdom of Imam Hussein. Majalisi, also known as Azari Hussein, includes mourning congregations, lamentations, matam, and all such actions which express the emotions of grief and, above all, repulsion against what Yazid stood for. Expression of grief with thumping of the chest by Shia Muslims is known as Latmiyah, Latmaya, or Latmir in Arabic Persian countries. In India and Pakistan it is called Matam or Matam Dari, seen as Ani. Muharram rituals was often called by European observers the Feast of Hassan and Hossein, as the participants shout Hassan, Hossein. The term Majalis has both a grammatical meaning and a meaning which relates to Azari Hussein. In its technical sense, a Majalis is a meeting, a session, or a gathering. Background: according to Shia sources, the Yazid of Muharram was started by the family, especially womenfolk, of Muhammad immediately after the death of his grandson and even before entering Damascus. Following the Battle of Karbala, Muhammad's granddaughter Zainab bint Ali and sister of Imam Hussein began mourning for the fallen and making speeches against Imam Hussein ibn Ali's opponents, Ibn Ziyad and Yazid I. News of Imam Hussein ibn Ali's death was spread by Imam Zayn al-Abidin, who succeeded Imam Hussein as the Shia Imam, via sermons and speeches throughout Iraq, Syria and Hejaz. Zayn ibn Imam Zayn al-Abidin informed the people that Yazid had martyred Hussein ibn Ali and 72 of his companions, including his 6-month-old son Ali Askar, and that the women and children were taken as prisoners to Syria. When word of mourning reached Yazid, he decided to release the captive women and children from the prison in Damascus. Out of fear of public revolt against his rule, he sent for Imam Zayn al-Abidin, informed him of the impending release, and asked if he wished for anything further. Imam Zayn al-Abidin said he would consult with Zainab. She asked Yazid to provide a place where the people could mourn for Imam Hussein and others of Muhammad's household. A house was provided, and here Zainab bint Ali held the first Majlis-e-Azhar of Imam Hussein and started the mourning of Muharram. Reliable evidence of public mourning rituals dates back to 963 CE. Historian Ibn Kathir recounts how Mu'az al-Dawla ordered his people to wail over Hussein ibn Ali. The mourning rituals evolved differently in different places, until the Safavid dynasty established a centralized Shia state in the 16th century. The annual mourning ceremonies and ritual cursing of Hussein's enemies acquired the status of a national institution. According to popular belief, Shia rituals spread to South Asia starting at the end of the 14th century with the conquests of Tamerlane. Observance has since spread to countries such as India, Pakistan, Iraq, Iran, Turkey, Afghanistan, Syria, Nigeria, Tanzania, Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, Yemen, Bahrain, Azerbaijan and Lebanon. Types of mourning. After almost 12 centuries, 5 types of major rituals were developed around the Battle of Karbala. These rituals include the memorial services, the visitation of Hussein's tomb in Karbala, particularly on the occasion of the 10th day of Ashura and the 40th day after the battle, the public mourning processions, and the flagellation. How the event is mourned differs between different branches of Shia and different ethnic groups. The event is observed by many Sunnis, but to a lesser extent, and as a time of remembrance, rather than mourning. The Nizam of Hyderabad, Deccan Mir Osman Ali Khan, was not only a Sunni Muslim and the famous powerful ruler of Hyderabad Deccan state till 1948, but also a great lover of Ahlul Bayt and promoter of Izadari. Expressions of grief such as Sign Zani, Zang-ir Zani, and Taj Zani Aqama Zani, also known as Tatbir, emerged as common features of the proliferating mourning processions during Safavid rule. Mourning rituals take place in assemblies held in so-called Hussainia-The, as well as in mosques and private houses. In Iran, Hussein's funeral is reenacted by carrying a huge wooden structure, which is usually carried by several hundred men. In the 12-3 traditional schools, mourners, both male and female, congregate for sorrowful, poetic recitations performed in memory of the death of Hussein, lamenting and grieving to the tune of beating drums and chants of Ya Hussein. Passion plays are performed, reenacting the Battle of Karbala and the suffering and death of Hussein at the hands of Yazid. They offer condolences to Imam-e Zamana, also known as Imam al-Mahdi, whom they believe will avenge the blood of Hussein and bring justice to the world. Bektashi's and Alevis also mourn, and they keep themselves from eating and drinking the first 10 to 12 days of Muharram. In this period, the Alevis wear black clothes, do not shave themselves, and avoid entertainment and pleasure. Originally, it was forbidden to bathe and change clothes during this period, but today most Alevis do not follow this rule. This is called Muharram Matemi, Jasai Muharram, or Muharram Oraku. But because it is called fasting, many people falsely think that Alevis celebrate the Muharram. The definition of the fast in this connection is different from the normal type of fasting. Bektashis greet each other by saying, Ya Imam, Ya Hussein, the only Ismaili group which mourns of the Mustali, who mourn similarly to most 12ers. Although Nazari Ismaili commemorate Muharram through the tradition of not celebrating marriages, birthdays, and other religious celebrations during this time to show respect to their other Muslim brothers who are mourning. For the duration of the remembrance, it is customary for mosques to provide free meals on certain nights of the month to all people. These meals are viewed as being special and holy, as they have been consecrated in the name of Imam Hussein, and thus partaking of them is considered an act of communion with Allah, Imam Hussein, and humanity. In South Asia, literary and musical genres produced by both Shias and Sunnis, that have been inspired by the Battle of Karbala are performed during the month, such as Marsiya, Noha and Soaz. This is meant to increase the people's understanding of how the enemies fought the Battle of Karbala against Hussein and his followers. In Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica, all ethnic and religious communities participate in the event, locally known as Hosai or Husay. In Indonesia, the event is known as Tabuik Tabu, pilgrimage to the shrine of Hussein. Many Shia go on a pilgrimage to the Imam Hussein shrine in Karbala, one of the holiest places for Shias apart from Mecca and Medina. Up to 1 million pilgrims visit the city annually to observe the anniversary of Imam Hussein ibn Ali's death. The shrine is located opposite that of Al-Abbas ibn Ali. Matam. The Arabic term matam refers in general to an act or gesture of mourning. In Shia Islam, the term designates acts of lamentation for the martyrs of Karbala. Male and female participants congregate in public for ceremonial chess breastbeating as a display of the devotion to Imam Hussein and in remembrance of his suffering. In some Shia societies, such as those in Bahrain, Pakistan, India, Afghanistan and Iraq, male participants may incorporate knives or razors swung upon chains into the matam. There are two basic forms of matam. Matam using one's hands only, that is, sinazani, or breastbeating. Matam with implements like chains, knives, swords and blades, that is, zanjirzani, qamazani, etc. Matam in South Asia is the most significant and sensitive Shia identity marker. Ta'ziyah. One form of mourning is the theatrical reenactment of the Battle of Karbala. In Iran, this is called ta'ziyah or ta'ziyah. Theatrical groups that specialize in ta'ziyah are called ta'ziyah groups. Ta'ziyahs were popular through the Qajar dynasty until the early 20th century, but the reenactments slowly declined until they were mostly abandoned in the large cities by the early 1940s. Nonetheless, ta'ziyahs continued to exist in Iran on a smaller scale, especially in more rural and traditional areas. Reza Shah, the first of the Pahlavi dynasty, had outlawed ta'ziyahs. Despite attempts since 1979, Muharram processions and various forms of the Rawzakhani are still more common around the world. Azadari in Lucknow, India. The Muharram processions and rituals are known as Azadari. These, including the Chap Ta'ziyah, have been observed since the 16th century or earlier, when Lucknow was capital of the state of Awadh. In the 20th century, beginning in 1906, Azadari became a focus of communal tension in Lucknow. In 1977, after riots broke out for the fourth time since 1968, the government of Uttar Pradesh banned the Azadari processions. Shia leaders protested the ban, and many Shia Muslims courted their arrest by defying the ban each year. In 1997, a hunger strike was launched to protest the Azadari ban. In April, 3 Shia youths committed self-immolation and died. A noted Shia scholar called for a peace march on the 18th of April 1997 that reportedly drew more than 200,000 Shias. Late in the year, after months of arrests and clashes between police and protesters, the government granted limited permission for Shias in Lucknow to hold Azadari processions. Gallery.